Welcome, seekers of the paranormal. And listen in as we dive into the eerie and unexplained. So turn off the lights as we join Dustin and Luke in exploring the unknown.
Welcome to another episode of Exploring the Unknown. I'm Luke.
I'm Dustin.
Today we have Mikey on the show, and he's a paranormal investigator. What's so funny?
I was just making faces in the camera. I don't know.
He's a paranormal investigator in Bump in the Night Society, the team he's on, it's called. And he had some pretty crazy experiences, and he showed us some the clips they caught EVPs and person falling backwards, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it. That was a really interesting conversation with Mikey. Mikey was a really funny dude. Well, he is a really funny dude. I would love to sit down and chat with him again. You know, I mean, he seems like he could really tell us some stories. We sat and talked to him for almost an hour, almost 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a minute to get some of this edited for Mikey, so sorry it took so long, Mikey.
Let's jump into the episode.
Let's do it.
So how have you been, Mikey? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I've been doing all right, just doing the paranormal thing while I can with a 2.5-year-old son. So, that makes things difficult. And I know you're in the same boat. So
Yeah. Actually, all three of us are. He has a 9-month-old.
Yeah. Oh, you're still in the no sleep stage. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm like getting back into that because my son started crawling over his crib and jumping out. So now I have to like be up at all times and on point. So yeah.
Yeah.
There's many
I also got an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Oh yeah. So it's not your first rodeo. So
No.
But yeah, I mean things have been great. I'm working on a book right now, not paranormal related at all or supernatural related, completely off the wall. Working on the next documentary, and still going out and talking to the energy out there.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Are you going to Moundsville with Jen and Sean?
I'm not sure. It depends on when they schedule it. Just because we got some stuff going with the kid already, so I just got to see when they schedule it. I'd like to.
I saw that post. I was like, oh man, that would be fun.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Moundsville, like for a private?
No.
We did it. I'm gonna say probably like 2 years ago, and no, maybe it was like last year. I don't know. It all blends together. Surprisingly, we didn't get as much activity as I thought we would, but I had one of the coolest flashlight sessions in the chapel where it was I've never had a more intelligent conversation without using like a spirit box or anything like that, and I was able to corroborate what I had in that conversation with the people that worked there. So it was pretty cool. It was, and then I went back by myself with the spirit box and, got more confirmation. So it was, that was cool. There's a couple other cool things, but yeah, I think, it was a really cold night, and sometimes that puts a damper on those locations without heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Moundsville. I just haven't got a chance to.
Yeah, I did a group investigation there one time. Renee my wife, she ended up leaving me in this room. She was the only one with a flashlight. It was like this x-ray table, and I got in between the camera and the table. It took me 20 minutes to get in there because I'm a big dude. But she just left. Flashlight and all, just left.
Oh, that's the way to do it. Yeah, by yourself in the dark. That's the fun. That's when the fun happens.
I get paranoid.
I just hate it because I can't find anything. So if I want to get out equipment or anything, I'm like, oh crap, I can't see a damn thing. So I
Maybe
did
if you
ask
work at a
Dustin
local
about.
high school here.
Oh, okay.
We think it's haunted.
I think most high schools have some kind of energy to them for sure. I mean, there's been so much going through there that the stuff does get stirred up.
Yeah.
But I mean that kind of goes with like one of my new theories, and I'm gonna try to kind of expand on it just with like just different tests I've come up with. But I kind of feel like the idea of spirits may not be the right thing. It may just be energy is just out there, and when we go to these locations that are supposedly haunted, that energy that's already been there comes through as voices of the past just to personify itself. So I'm going to try. I got a couple of things I want to try to see if, that may be the case. And also if you can make an imprint yourself. Because I never got the point, like, okay, like we'll say, you're obviously familiar with Hillview. George didn't die at Hillview. So when he died, why did he go back to work? And is it possible that, okay, he's showing up where he worked. Is it possible he would also show up at other locations that he may have been to frequently, or even the location where he died? Because I just don't get how you just die and then all of a sudden, like, oh, you can talk to me at some random building that I used to frequent. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like you can leave impressions while you're alive. So one thing I'm going to try to do to kind of test that, and I'm going to start it on New Year's. And I'm not going to be able to do it every day, but I'm going to keep a calendar of what days I do it. And I want to try to say the same word in my basement, in one of the same corner, same environment, and for 1 year straight, just say I'm going to do Mamma Mia in the corner. I've been watching Mario Brothers nonstop. So I'm going to do that in the corner. And then I want to see the following year, I'm going to put a digital voice recorder there at the same time to see if I can pick up me saying Mamma Mia.
That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, the variable is, okay, is it me that's coming through if it does come through on the digital voice recorder, or is it something that's mimicking me? Is it the energy that's already here that's mimicking me? So I got to try to figure out a way to kind of figure that out.
Yeah. You have to let us know how that goes. I'm really intrigued to know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna videotape it, so it's gonna be a very, very boring video of a year of me saying the same goddamn word over and over again.
Just do a time lapse.
Yeah. Like I actually had a conversation recently on my podcast where if that's the case and that works, is it possible that I could interact with that energy then? It's not going to just say Mamma Mia. Is it possible that will manifest something that I can interact with? And if that's the case, can you haunt yourself?
Ooh.
You just
Dustin,
that kind of freaks me out.
I already know if you were prepared for how nerdy it's going to get.
Well, no, dude, like let's nerd it up, but like that freaks me out because like I already have like this fear of running into myself. You know what I mean? And that just adds a whole nother level to it. Now I can't even see me.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible. Like, we have these mental disorders. How do we know that's not like a legit thing where instead of the person just, having a chemical imbalance, there's like energy that's like themselves interacting with them.
Yeah, you say mental disorder. I just watched this TikTok a little while ago. This guy was saying about how I know you have a cat, but like they say that I don't know where the study comes from, but they say that people with cats are twice as likely to get like develop schizophrenia or something like that. I don't know how I feel about that. Though I feel like that's far fetched.
I don't know, man. I might end up haunting myself, so that might be the case here, you know?
That's funny. What's your favorite place you ever went to investigate?
Oh, you know my favorite, Luke. Come on.
Hillview?
No.
Yeah.
Bel Air House, baby.
Which one? That's a pretty crazy place.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah, I got to say the Bel Air House. Monroe House is getting there, though. We just did a weekend there recently. It was our second time going there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Monroe House too much. The big thing there is they have a hole that opened up in the basement, and I don't really like the paranormal shows too much, but Nick Groff was on, I think it was 72-hour lockdown or whichever one with Katrina Wiseman or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And they found human remains back there in this cubby hole. And so I like to always go up in there and see if I can kind of determine and figure out why there's human remains. One of the stories they had was that when they built the house, and I don't remember the year off the top of my head, but there was an artifact there that they had to remove when they were laying the foundation, and they think that's kind of what caused the energy to come up. And the first time we were there, I was in the hole doing an Estes method, and I kept getting a man come through. He was real angry, and he kept saying, "I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. I'm going to grab him." And I felt like when you go into the hole, there's like a dirt floor, and there's like this really shitty rug on top of the dirt floor. And I where I was sitting, I felt the rug kind of pull up, and legit just a hand cupped my balls. And I fucking jumped out of that hole. I don't get scared that often, but when you're grabbing my balls, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time there over the weekend when we were there, and I'm interested to see everything that we got because, as you guys know, like investigating, a lot of times you get stuff after the fact. Like you get during the review, you don't really get much live.
Yeah.
But we did have some weird stuff that kind of correlated with that. The first time I was there, I did an Estes method in another room, and I got the name Dick, which is short for Richard.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we were in that same room, and I mean these responses were insane. April, who's part of our team, she felt that one of the dolls had an attachment. So I asked, like, do you have the attachment? I don't remember verbatim the interaction, but it said yes. And I said, well, can you tell me what your name is? It said Adam. And I said, why are you attached to that doll, Adam? And he said, for protection. I said, from who? And he said, Richard. And I was like, who's Richard? And he said, the dark man or something like that. And I was like, where can I go to interact with him? And he said, the basement. And then it said, chosen one. And I said, well, who's the chosen one? And it said, you. And I'm like, well, I guess that's a sign I got to go in the basement.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time in that hole. Didn't get my balls grabbed this time, but I did get touched. Like, it's weird because, like, when you get touched in an investigation, you don't know, unless it's like handcuffing your balls. I mean, that's pretty obvious you're getting touched.
Yeah.
But if you're, like, blindfolded and doing an Estes method, like, you can feel stuff crawling on you. And it might be bugs. It might just be your body feeling this, and it might not be anything happening. So it's kind of, but I felt like something go down my spine. It felt like a finger going down my spine. And when I was in there the second time, and it was really creepy. But
wow.
Cool.
Yeah. So that one's growing on.
I don't think I'd
that
went
one's
back
up there
there
with the
again
Bel Air
after.
House.
Yeah, I think after getting my balls.
Oh, dude, I just want to camp out in that hole, man. Crawl up and get deep into that hole, baby.
I bet they want to get. Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
that's cool though, man.
Richard's going for my Richard, man.
Oh gee, that's cool though. That's cool. Have you ever been to like Gettysburg or anything like that?
No, I haven't yet. My group has been there. I know Sean and Jen spoke at the Gettysburg Bash. I think it was last year. with the kiddo, I just haven't really had a chance to go. It's always been on a weekend that I can't make it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's hard to do anything with a
yeah,
kid.
yeah, exactly. So my time's limited, so I want to investigate more than do conventions and whatnot. And I'm more
Yeah.
into the houses and location where there's a mystery to it, kind of like the Bel Air house and the Monroe house. Like I like going to asylums. I like going to Hillview. It's fun. You get to interact. I feel like that's more ghost hunting, where like I like to do more. I want to solve what's going on as a paranormal investigator.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that.
And I warned Dustin. Cat just took a shit. Like my litter box. I don't know if you heard, Luke, while you had your technical issues, but yeah, every time I'm on a podcast, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, my cat takes a shit behind me.
It's official then.
It is. This is officially a podcast now.
That's awesome.
We want to try to start going to more conventions and stuff like that to get our name out there more.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. Definitely, connect with Sean and Jen because they go to a lot of them. And they, we set up as vendors. We were a special guest at Indiana State Sanitariums, one in August. And it was cool. I mean, we got to do the convention during the day, and then we us and other groups handled they did a public investigation at night, which surprisingly we got a lot of activity during those publics, which has been happening a lot lately. There's usually a lot of people say during public events that are open to non weirdos like us. You don't get as much activity because there's too many people there, but I don't know. I find the public ones we've been getting a lot of activity, so I think it just depends on the energy you bring.
Yeah. I probably could agree with that because more energy the spirits have to use and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Now we Dustin and I while we were off air, we're talking about the cryptid thing. Have you been cryptid hunting at all?
No, I would like to get, but then on the other hand, I was like, if I see something, it might change my whole reality. I mean, it definitely will.
Yeah.
But it's just like, do I really want to see like a Bigfoot? And I would like to, maybe from like a distance.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it depends on like if it's Harry and the Hendersons type of Bigfoot. I'm down for hanging out with Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah.
But if it's something that's gonna fuck me up, I'm good. Like I'm already afraid of bears. I don't need like other shit messing with me. So that's something I've always been torn on. I don't really feel I want to do that.
Yeah, we was just talking.
I like to give it a try. Maybe nothing crazy.
Yeah.
The guy that we were talking to earlier today had told us about what was it? It was somebody else that was telling him this about the Sasquatch plucking a dude's head like a grape. I can't remember, Luke.
Oh yeah, they went out hunting or something like that, and they came across a female Bigfoot, and the guy shot it, and there's a male Bigfoot like right behind them, and they had no idea. And he said a big male Bigfoot popped his head off like a grape.
Jeez. How could he tell if it was male and female? Did the male just have a big old dick, or?
I think there's a way people tell.
So
I think that's.
I'm not sure. I never seen one.
Most important question: do you think they have a regular human penis, or do you think it's a red rocket like a dog?
It's probably like a red
rocket. I always wondered the same about Chewbacca. Like, what's Chewbacca packing?
What's he got going on? That's funny. Yeah.
So, what about extraterrestrials? What are your thoughts?
I definitely think there's something out there. This universe is too big to only one intelligent living creature.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely something more out there, I would say.
Have you had any encounters at all?
we saw something at work one night when we went coming back from break. It looked like a UFO, but it's too far away to say it was or wasn't. But the way the movement was of this thing was off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say, yeah, I seen one, but it's not in black and white. It would be like, oh yeah, that was a plane. It was UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like the take in general. What about you, Dustin? You see any little green men?
No, not little green men. I always got my eyes in the sky though, just in case, you know. I don't just you never know, something might fly on by and I might miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I said earlier I don't really watch a lot of the paranormal shows or anything, but one that I did like,
Yeah.
I just I don't really watch too much TV, but is that Paranormal Caught on Camera. Just because,
Oh yeah.
I'll watch
yeah,
that.
I mean, I feel like if it's going to be legit, it's not going to be like a TV show where they add the drama in and stuff. Like, this is just people recording off their freaking cell phone that, most of them aren't even investigators or anything.
Right.
No, I think that show's pretty legit to the most point.
Yeah. There was that encounter they had in, what was it, LA within the last couple of years. They had called 911 and they said that there was a crash landing UFO in the backyard and there was like these 10-foot beings that were climbing up the house. I'd like to get a hold of them and have a conversation, or at least a neighbor.
Oh yeah, I remember that, dude. Yeah, because that actually made like regular news too. That wasn't just
it was on like
weird TV shows or anything.
Yeah.
There was another alien encounter that was on TV back in, I think, 2007, where they were interviewing one. It was on the news too. Do you remember that by any chance?
No.
I think it was further back than that.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Was it?
it was. Yeah, I think it was like more like 97 that it had happened, and whenever they had aired it, it I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, to be honest with you. It I have no words. That's it. I don't have any words.
So was it
Awesome.
they interviewed the actual extraterrestrial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the show,
Yeah.
Alf? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, the video was like real dark, but you could see that there was something like in the background, and there was doctors there. And what podcast was it that we had listened to? They had dug even deeper on it.
The
and
confessionals.
the confessionals. They dug even deeper, and they had found the wife of the doctor that was in the video, and I guess this guy worked for the government, and he was like just really secretive about things. And she had seen the video and confirmed that was her husband. And I don't know, it was just a lot of weird things.
Yeah.
Is this one?
No, okay. Yeah, send me a link. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in that because I mean, it's not something I go out and look for, but I had an experience too. I was at church camp when I was growing up, and my buddy and I I went to school with him, and I would always go because we were best friends, our parents were friends, and everything. And the last night they had like just a general camp out, and him and I were like the only ones up. And we were just doing stupid shit. We would dare each other to, run over and fuck with somebody real quick because no one was sleeping in tents. So we'd like go over and like just smack a dude in the face and run back and act like we're sleeping and shit. But we're laying down like in our sleeping bags or whatever, and we're just like looking up, not even talking or anything. And like it I don't know, it was weird. It was like something came real close. I'm going to say probably like 300 feet up in the air and just went boom. And like, I just look over at him and I'm like, dude, did you just see that? And he's like, yeah. And I asked him what he saw and he described the same thing. And it was like, holy shit. And that was before cell phones were out. So we had no way of capturing it. And it happened so quickly. Like,
Yeah.
that there's no way you could have been like, oh man, get your camera out or anything anyways. But yeah, that's my only real experience I can think of. But I feel like even with investigating, the paranormal, investigating, the extraterrestrials or cryptids, like I feel like a lot of people say you're more in tune when you go looking for it. I don't know if you're more in tune where they're, more in tune to show themselves to you, or if you're just always kind of on point looking for it, and normally you're not. So it's kind of that weird thing when people say in tune. It's like, are you in tune where they're showing themselves, or are you just looking for it more in depth than you were before?
That reminds me of a conversation that we had with another guest. His name was Joe, and he brought up that the human body has, I guess, just for lack of better terminology, we'll say feature that you tune out things that you're not really focused on. Every day you screaming kids in the background. Eventually, you tune them out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that the paranormal is the same way. These things are always happening, but we're just not aware of it or in tune with it, so we don't recognize it until we actually go looking for it, and then we start to put that focus on it. So then we start to have more experiences.
No, I agree 100% with that, and I mean, it may also be that it's showing itself more, but at the same time, it's just like I feel like it's more that you're more open to it, you're seeking it,
right?
You're going to see things more,
right? Yeah. Do you think that you have to be at a certain level of vulnerability in order to be able to sense them? Like, for example, putting yourself alone in a dark room.
No, I mean, that goes back to what I said at the beginning. We had plenty of activity just doing group, public events. You get activity.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different elements that come to it. I think it does go with the energy that you bring. I think also there's environmental elements, timing elements. There's a lot of different things. And I actually met somebody at a convention at the Bell Mansion where he was so scientific. Like, I can't even describe. Like, he had a device that he uses, and he was describing it to me, but like my intelligence levels here, like his was like way up here, and he uses it to try to catch EVPs, and he hasn't got one yet. But it's like it's almost like a metal detector, and if you put it up to your head, you can hear your brain radiating. And he's like, if I catch an EVP on this, like, it's legit. But going to what we were talking about with the different variables, he has a device, and I told him, dude, you need to market this. Like, this is insane. But it picks up everything. Like, it picks up vibration, it picks up temperature, EMF, a bunch of other shit. I didn't even know what the fuck he was talking about because, like I said, he's way up here. But all he does to investigate, he doesn't even investigate. He just leaves this device at a location. He says he just goes to the bar, has a couple beers, comes back, puts it into a different room, and does the same thing, and that's how he investigates. And then he reads the data afterwards to see when activity occurred and what every particular element there was that was going on while that activity was happening, so he can try to register what is the perfect scenario for a haunting. And it was insane. Really, I mean, I felt like I could talk to this guy for like 3 hours knowing only half of what he's talking about, but still being interested in it 100%.
Wow, that is interesting.
Now, I had a theory about like the paranormal. Do you think there could be like a time loop where like all this stuff is going on?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you hear someone talking and it's happened back in the day at this time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, that's like the movie The Others. I don't know if you ever saw that from...
No.
It's from the late 90s. I'll spoil it for you because the ending was pretty crazy, but it correlates with that. So in the movie The Others, I think it's Civil War time period. I haven't seen it since it came out in theaters, and I was like, I don't know, fucking 10 or 12 or something. So it's been a while. But it's a woman and her two kids are living in this mansion, and her husband goes off to war, and like she's just sitting there waiting for him to come back, and it just seems like she's always waiting, and all this stuff's happening throughout the mansion, and like she's hearing voices, and she's hearing people walking around and like moving shit and all this crazy stuff. And in the end, I said like this is Civil War time. The ending is they're actually dead already, and it's people using a Ouija board, like paranormal investigators that are investigating, and that's what it's a haunting to them, if that makes sense.
Oh wow.
So it
makes
is
sense.
it is a time loop thing. There's also multiverse. There's all kinds of different theories. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I wouldn't throw it out, and that's why we investigate, to try to figure out what we're interacting with.
Yeah.
Do you think there's different verses or multiverses? Do you believe in that?
I believe in the theory of it, and it depends on what type of multiverse. I mean, is it Spider-Man and Doctor Strange multiverse where there's different versions of you, or is it just the time loop where that time, like what you're saying, where that time's happening, it's just in a different universe, but it's stuff that already happened in our universe. But the only thing that goes, kind of contradicts that is when you get intelligent conversations with things. It's still possible that that's the case. It's just they're able to hear you too, and they're just talking back, and they're like, what the fuck? I'm hearing these disembodied voices. It's 1876. Like, what's going on here? And it's us interacting with them. So that's definitely a possibility. I also think there's definitely different layers of, if there is an afterlife, or different layers of energy, where it's almost like an onion. And that's why when you ask, like, how many entities am I interacting with? And then you turn on the spirit box, and it'll say like 3, it'll say 7. And one theory I always had was it's like I said, like an onion, and depending on the entity's level of energy, some can see all the layers, so that's why they say 7, while other ones are limited because they're like a lower energy being. And that's why they say 3, because they can only see 3, because they can only maybe see a couple of the realms, where the other one can see all the realms.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So yeah, it's definitely a possibility. There's a lot of different scenarios. That's awesome. But there's a lot of different scenarios and theories. I mean, that's essentially why we do what we do. Well, most people.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do it. I always say there's social media influencers, there are paranormal social media influencers, and then there's, ghost hunters, and then there's paranormal investigators, and then there's practitioners. There's so many different people, in the field. And I think that if you're doing things the right way, you'll get the best interactions. And if you're doing it for the right things.
Yeah. Now, did you want to jump into that video? Did you want to try to go through that?
Yeah, sure. Okay. And I just want to warn people, I can't see us while I'm screen sharing. So if they're making faces at me, let me know afterwards. Yeah, I'll try to see it. What I'll do is I'll pause after each one and just kind of give the background of what's going on, because some of them are a little confusing.
Sure. Gentleman that keeps coming through, because that sounded like the same tone as myself.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who you are?
Here for evil.
Here for evil. Wow. Here for
That
evil.
was clear as day.
Okay. So that was at the Hinsdale House out by the Giving Tree. Have either of you guys been to the Hinsdale House up in New York?
No.
Okay, it's a pretty cool place. It's one where I actually think that the ground itself is where the energy comes from. In that one, we were at the Giving Tree, so it's a Native American ritual that they practice there because there's a lot of Native American battles and whatnot. And I won't go into full detail, but there was a family that lived there, the Dandies, and the mother of the family wrote a book about her time there, and pretty much everybody had the craziest stories possible. There were possessions, extraterrestrial stuff, um, and they actually did a house exorcism where they had a gentleman. I think his name was Father Alonzo or Alfonso. I can't remember, but he was one of the assistants to the person that did the structural exorcism at the Amityville house. So they did a structural exorcism where you're not, doing an exorcism on a person, you're doing it on the house and the land itself. And while he was doing it, they had a boom mic set up that they didn't even realize was on. And they listened to the playback afterwards, and they said you could hear the house screaming. And
wow.
In that case, that wasn't the EVP, but we did a session where they performed the exorcism, and I asked to speak to the house, and a voice came through and said, "I'm here." It was a female, so you can actually talk to the place itself while you're there. And
That's crazy.
yeah, it's definitely a really cool place. They have some weird stuff with flies. Like any time of year, there's always flies there. And we were in the coldest possible day to go there. It was in March last year. Snowstorm, everything. And there were still flies in the house. It's a real weird place. I recommend it. I recommend going in the summertime because there's a lot of outdoor locations like the Giving Tree. But we went. It was so cold. Our outside time was limited. We also had an interaction on. There's a pond there, and they think that's one of the main sources of the energy is at that pond. And they keep finding bodies buried throughout the property around the pond. And the little girls of the Dandy family, they were swimming in the pond one day, and they saw a woman in white dancing at the far edge of the pond, the far edge from the house. And they all described her face differently. Like everything was exactly the same when the parents asked about it, except for her face was different. The one girl saw the woman with buck teeth. The other one saw the woman having fangs, like almost like filed down to spikes. And then the other one, I forget what the other one was, but it was different as well. And while we were there, I set a REM pod at the edge of the pond, and we had nothing on but our camcorders. And I asked the woman that the little girl saw, "Can you come and dance for us?" And the REM pod just started going nuts, and there was nothing there to set it off. So we had a lot of cool, weird stuff. We did a static cam when we were doing that session at the Giving Tree, and at the edge of it, you saw what looked like a finger go like this on the static cam, just like real brief. It was really, really odd. The place is odd. I highly recommend it. Again, go when it's warmer so you can hit up the outdoor locations more than we did, though.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, this next one is at a place called the Pickle Jar. It's an antique store.
Okay.
It was an antique store in Rochester, PA. Unfortunately, it burnt down probably 3 months after we investigated. So I'll play this real quick.
You cursed
I
it.
know, exactly. Well, it seemed like it was cursed in general, but so when we were investigating, there were some of the workers there because they wanted to kind of, the place was haunted. They claimed that things would happen while they're working there, so they kind of wanted to just be observers and see what interactions we got. And the woman in the background on this one was one of the workers. We're in the it's Phil from my team, me, and two of the workers down in the basement. Die at this location.
Yo, wait. Are you okay?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, so I mean,
Wow.
she claims that somebody did grab her from behind and pulled on her hoodie. I mean,
Holy
again,
crap.
she's not part of my team, so I can't say that for sure. It's
Lost I got.
yeah, exactly. I know we had nothing to do
Yeah.
with it, but I will give her this: if she faked that, she deserves a freaking Oscar because she went right back into a table, like an edge of a table, like hardcore. So
Holy
if it
crap.
was staged, then she did a really good job. But um, after that happened, I didn't want the video to be 10 hours long. Um, Phil was like, after we made sure she was all right, she said, "Yeah, I don't want to leave. Like, let's keep going." Phil's like, "I don't know. I think that's a sign we should probably take a break." And I'm like, "No, this is a sign we investigate." I got the spirit box back
Keep
out.
going.
Yeah, so I did
Yeah.
end up asking. Because I forget the name of the guy that I was interacting with beforehand. I think his name was James. I asked James, "Was that you that pulled her?" And he came through and said, "Nope, wasn't me." That's the only clear response that
Oh,
I
wow.
remember afterwards. But yeah, we had some really cool stuff. This place was so interesting. It was a huge antique store. It was almost like a hoarder's dream. Like there was a lot of stuff packed into there. But it also used to be a venue. So in one of the rooms, there's like a stage where Sean, he actually had a rap show there. And Troy, coincidentally, that was his first or second investigation with us. He also was in a play that was at that stage, so they had that connection there. But it was also a brothel, and we had a lot of interaction. It was the third floor. You could tell how it was set up. Everything was gone at this point, but it was a brothel back in the late 1800s, and there was a bar in the center, and then there's all these individual rooms that where the prostitutes would take their clients, and we had a lot
Yeah.
of weird interactions. We had a guy come through because there was a murder in the early 1900s where a guy came in and shot the brothel. It was a brothel slash speakeasy, and he came in and just murdered like 12 people. And it's on our
Holy cow.
YouTube page. I'm doing a spirit box session, and I said, I forget the guy's name. I was like, "Are you here with us?" And I turned the spirit box on, and this noise didn't come through the spirit box, but you hear a loud boom, like a gunshot going off. And it could have been a car backfiring outside,
Yeah.
but it was one hell of a coincidence if that were the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty coincidental.
Yeah. I mean, we got some wild shit. It was a pretty cool night, and it's just unfortunate. Like, I would say my camera work's getting better now, but at that point, like, it still wasn't up to par, and we didn't get to film any B-roll or anything because I would have liked to do a documentary about our investigations. We did get a lot of activity, but unfortunately, like I said, it did burn down about 3 months afterwards. Now I'm interested though to go back there because now it's a parking lot and try to investigate the parking lot and see if we get any interaction because I want to see like
Yeah.
what happens to that energy. The place burnt down. Does it go away or would it still be there, just ingrained into the land?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Definitely gonna try that sometime. Just be some weirdo in a random parking lot talking to himself.
With the ghost on his breath.
Yeah, talking to himself with a broken radio. So this next one's in the basement at Wildwood Sanitarium in New York. Another snowy night, but so we were using a Geoport hooked up to. I don't know what it was hooked up to. I don't think it was a spirit box. It may have been like a phone app, which I question those. But that bathtub wasn't authentic to the house, but in the basement they used to take patients that would go in, with mental issues and whatnot, and they would give them electric baths. So they had a doctor's outfit, and it was very small on me, so it was very tight. But we did get some cool interaction there. Obviously, it said I got an appointment. Again, I didn't want the video to be too long, but at one point, I jokingly go like, I forget what someone says, something like, "What procedure are you getting?" And I go like this, like I'm gonna check someone's prostate, and it comes through and goes, "Wait a minute!" right after I do that. But that's one thing I like to do. I do like to use trigger objects and other things to try to see what we can get if it does intensify things.
Yeah.
This next clip is the last one. It's pretty much just an advertisement for the documentary I'm working on. It's actually coincidentally we didn't break up into teams intentionally. It's just the way our scheduling worked out. I've always wanted to investigate a place completely by myself. So I got hooked up with this antique store in Jennerstown, PA. 1806 is the name. It actually just got, the owner at the time when I investigated was all about the paranormal. I haven't had a chance to reach out to the new owner yet because it got sold probably like maybe 6 months after I investigated. So I want to at least give her a heads up that I'm doing the documentary. So I'm investigating by myself. On the same exact night, Troy, Sean, and Phil and Troy's daughter are at Indiana State Sanitarium investigating. And we actually did an experiment at one point in the night through StreamYard where we did a remote Estes method. So I did it first and then Sean did it next. I didn't really look up the history of ISS. And they had no clue because I actually didn't know much of the history. I knew a little bit, but not much going in. I went relatively blind. And we wanted to both do an Estes method to see if we could channel the energy from the other location. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I would say, obviously, it's subjective. But I would say that one of us did possibly get energy from the other location. But
that's cool.
Yeah, I'll just play the clip real quick. I don't have it in here, but I'll tell you guys it offline. I got the coolest EVP I've ever got in my life. And it wasn't even that cool of an EVP. It was a spirit box hit. It was so clear. And I almost didn't even include it when I did the evidence reveal with the owner at 1806. But I thought, I don't know, this is real clear. I'm going to include it. And I'm glad I did because when I played the clip, her jaw dropped. And there was a bunch of the workers there. Their jaws dropped. They're like, did that just say that? And I was like, yeah, it did say that. It was real clear, so I included it, but I didn't think it was relevant. And they're like, oh, no, it's relevant. And they told me the relevance, and I was like, whoa. It's wild. But again, I don't want to give a spoiler, but I'll tell you guys offline. But this is going to be our upcoming documentary. I don't have a release date yet. I still need to record the narrations and kind of put it together, which can take a long time. So it'll probably be obviously sometime next year, but I'll say probably like March or April. Who's on the other side of this curtain?
Keep hearing something. Did you hear it?
Something negative.
Trim 406. Help.
Are you able to move something in the room with me? Let me know that you're here with me. Thank you. What is beyond that wall? What is back there?
That's awesome, man.
The video with the lady getting pulled back was crazy.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, I wish the camera work was better. I started using better IR lights, and I'm recording now with two cameras instead of just one.
Yep.
So it does make it better for releasing documentaries, and plus you get double the exposure to potential evidence.
Yeah.
Plus
Right.
we have a couple part-time videographers now. One that's more geared towards doing lives, and the other one's geared more towards doing like releases like this. So they're far better than I am. I just use a camera and a tripod and just try to strategically place them. But the lighting's getting better
Yeah.
too, because I've been using better IR lights and whatnot.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
looks good, man. It looks good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
going to be
absolutely.
better than my other releases. That it's still probably going to be just as boring if if you're not in the field and you're just looking for like something similar to Ghost Adventures or something like that. It's definitely not like that.
Yeah.
I don't get possessed, and I don't
Yeah.
call out.
You made us out one time though.
Well, yeah.
Were you there?
No,
Were you there for that?
I wasn't there for that one. I've witnessed the possession myself before I started investigating, but I wasn't there for that one.
Damn.
Yeah, that was the first time you guys were at Bel Air House.
Yeah. Do you make your own music, or do you just find music off like that line? And
It depends. I told Dustin off air, like I can shittily play guitar, so I do have a couple guitar parts that I sometimes use. Um, for that, everything on that one, as far as like music wise, like that beeping noise or whatever.
Mhm.
I did get the sound itself. It was from a song that's free within the editing software that I have, but I cut it, so it would just do those two sounds over and over again to be a little more suspenseful. But it
Yeah.
depends. I mean, sometimes Leo has a little fake piano. Not fake.
Mhm.
I mean, you can play it and stuff. I
Yeah.
suck at it, but I'll sometimes do little parts like and just record it and
Mhm.
see if it's something good enough to cut up and add to it. So a lot of this sound effects, like the screaming part at the end there, that was me. Because I'm actually, like I said, I think I told Dustin off air. I'm actually working on a book that's not paranormal related. I have the book done, the print version. I'm working on the audio version because I want to
Mhm.
release them both at the same time. Because what I want to do is I want to have the print version done, and then I want to have a QR code put in on the back of the cover that'll take you to the audio book. So if someone buys
Oh,
the,
that's
the
a good
regular
idea.
book, trying
Yeah.
to get that business savvy. I got an
Yeah.
MBA, but it's
Yeah.
fucking stupid. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to get this documentary out. I feel like once I get it out, I'm going to go really hardcore into working on the audiobook. The audiobook's going to be a little unique. I'm doing all the voices. So essentially what it is I wrote the stories to put on a website. I was working with my cousin and one of my friends, and we were going to do like a weekly blog site, and I would interview people about their drunken, drugged out stories, and I would write a
Mhm.
story based on the interview. So it wasn't verbatim, and I had to make a lot of the dialogue up. They would tell me like what the conversations were and what they could remember, because obviously they were inebriated.
Yeah.
So I kind of took their story and kind of ran with it. I also have some of my own. Those ones are probably a little more accurate. Some of them I tried to make themed. I had like one that was based off a Christmas Carol. And it's kind of like anytime the guy interacted with cops, it was like a different ghost. So he would always think of like the past, the present, and the future, and just
Yeah.
different things like that. It's I'm pretty excited for it, but it's a lot of work on the audio because I have to do
Mhm.
female voices and different accents, and also doing sound effects. So it's pretty cool. It's like some old school radio type of thing. Like I'm
That's up your alley, Dustin.
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Voices.
I'd like to get into voiceover. I think it's really cool. I like to do like cartoon type voices and stuff.
So do you guys like how often do you guys get to go out and do stuff?
Never really.
Yeah.
We've been trying to give out to like a local cemetery or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
other than that, we both got 3 kids. It's kind of hard to get
Oh yeah. Yeah.
do anything. So
Yeah.
We
we're
definitely
trying to
wanna-
dig out.
We
Sometimes.
definitely want to do some investigating and maybe do some YouTube videos and post up, because this I think that's where our podcast is going to mainly live, and then from there it's going to break down to just the audio versions and on other platforms as well. So kind of mix up the content a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's a good idea because it's I mean anything that you put out content wise is marketing to get people to listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Mhm.
Even going to public investigations and just recording, what you get from that. 'Cause that's a cheap alternative.
Yeah.
Obviously, time's hard, but there's a lot of cheap locations out there, and like a lot of them will surprise you. I mean, we went to the Inspiration House in Ohio. That place was super active. I think that was only like $300 a night.
Yeah.
The Octagon House. Oh my God, that place is amazing. It's not too far away either. It's in Circleville, Ohio. I think it's like $300 a night. And we actually went with Garrett, and he came with some of the members of our team. And literally, okay, it's not a big place, so you don't want to have too many people, but it's obviously an octagon-shaped building, and it's one of that used to be popular with prominent families. I forget the time frame. I'm going to say like the early 1900s. But this one's unique because it used to be at another location, and Walmart was being put in. And when they were putting the Walmart in, they were planning on demolishing the building, and someone bought it and ended up legit moving the entire building a mile away so that they didn't have to destroy it. And the weird thing is okay, so it was subject to a fire at some point. They don't have a lot of the history, but it was subject to the fire while it was at the other location. But you still get interaction from the fire, even though it moved to another location, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because we actually we had the only thing I had going was EM pumps and camcorders, and the EM pumps unfortunately kind of took out my audio on my camcorders. But we had the weirdest interaction. Like this, it was the second night for them. It was the only night I went. But it sounded like someone choking up in the area because the way it's set up, it's an octagon building, and then in the center there's a circle, and they have one of the few spiral staircases. I think it might be the only one left for whatever octagon buildings are still standing throughout the U.S. And you can legit just stand around the spiral staircase all night and not have to do anything, and just look up, because all the rooms up above, like they have the doors open. You'll see full body apparitions. You'll see all kinds of shit. But going back to what I was talking about, we got there and we heard someone choking, like legit choking to death, and even fall over. And it sounded like just a man just choking and coughing. And then it stopped, and I was like, are you okay? Like what the fuck just happened? And there was no equipment on that would produce any audio, no spirit boxes, nothing. It was just a disembodied voice, and you can kind of hear it a little bit on one of my camcorders, but you can still, the EM pump sound like drowns it out, because the EM pump was like right by the camcorders.
Yeah.
Where was that place we went to with a giant Ouija board on top of the house?
The Grand Midway Hotel. Definitely want to go
That was
back
a
there,
cool
dude.
place.
That place was awesome. It was just so cold that night. That's the only thing it sucked.
It was very
But
cool.
Luke and I were the only ones with balls. We were the ones that fucking stayed up and like championed through. Everybody else was like,
all night.
everyone else was like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed. Like it's fucking cold. But yeah, that was the Grand Midway Hotel. I mean, it's even a cool place if you don't do paranormal stuff because it's essentially
It is.
just a big giant art exhibit, and it's a
It
hotel,
was
and
cool.
you get to stay there. A lot of history though; it's insane. It used to be a brothel. There was, you remember Martha Minnie Serwinski?
No.
She was the girl. They think she was a prostitute, but they're not 100% sure. But it was in the 4th of July in, I think, 1911. I'm not sure on the year, but it's the 4th of July. And they were putting a firework into the steel canister to fire it off. And it got stuck in the canister and it blew up and shrapnel came. And she was on the balcony of the Grand Midway and it came up and almost decapitated her. And she died right there on the balcony. But she kept coming through as like a playful spirit. Like it was funny because you'd have like a flashlight and like a REM pod next to each other. And you'd be like, Minnie, if that's you that we're interacting with, can you turn on the REM pod? And she'd turn on the flashlight. And like, then we'd be like, shut off the flashlight if that's you, Minnie. And then the REM pod would start going off.
That's
I
funny.
do remember that story now after you brought
Yeah.
it back. I do remember that.
And that was one where there's mystery to it. There's a woman who haunts the canopy room, which is the darkest room. They say she hates men. I actually came up with a theory in one of our documentaries. It was a 2-parter called One Cold Night at the Grand Midway Hotel. Camera work, shit.
Excuse me.
Horrible camera work, but the evidence is awesome. Luke and I fucking got some good shit. But we kept getting interactions of a child, which they always said that there was a child buried in the basement. And if you go, we went into the basement, there's 3 concrete slabs in the basement. They're not structurally used at all. There's no reason for them to be there. And the theory was always that there was a baby, maybe not a baby, but a young kid that died there and was buried in the basement. We kept getting that a little girl coming through. Then we started getting a man coming through who felt guilt. He kept coming through. I don't remember all the words that came through, but it was like you could tell he felt guilty about something. And then the woman in the canopy room, we kept getting interaction with. And then we went to do an evidence reveal with the owner, Blair, who's probably like, I say he's a modern Renaissance man. He used to work with Prince and do video with Prince and like all these people in LA. And he gave all that up to buy the Grand Midway Hotel in Windber, Pennsylvania, and just open an art exhibit, him and one of his buddies. And, you know, they lived poor for years, starving artists. And then eventually, like, it started getting a name for itself. But we did an evidence reveal. And afterwards, I was like, is it cool if I go do a spirit box session real quick in the canopy room? And so I go up there and I forget all the questions I asked, but the man that was feeling guilt came through. The little girl came through and said, "It's my mommy. It's my mommy." And then I asked the woman who haunts this location, that haunts this room, what happened to you? And I turned the spirit box on and said, clear as day, I was strangled. So my theory was that, okay, there's a little girl claiming that this woman's her mother. I feel that the little girl died. The mother may have been a prostitute, and the man that she had the baby with, and if she wasn't a prostitute, she lived there with this man. Mm-hmm. And the man, you know, after children die,
strangled her.
Yeah, they got into a fight for whatever reason, and he strangled her to death. And then he went downstairs in the basement and killed himself. And that's why there's 3 concrete slabs, because it's the child, the woman that haunts the canopy room, and the man that killed her and then killed himself.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, you know, everything's subjective, but that's just what my hypothesis was based on the evidence that we gathered.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's really interesting. Wow.
That's one nerdy thing I always try to do is anytime we go to a place and I know we're going to do a release, I always try to come up with some kind of, theory or hypothesis based on the evidence that we have to try to expand on the history of the location. And that's another reason I don't know for a fact that we're interacting with, spirits or people who were previously alive and lived at these locations. Again, it may just be the energy just personifying itself as those people and showing their history through our interactions.
Right.
And I kind of always say we're like time travelers. What we do is we interact with energy from the past to expand on the history, and it is almost like time traveling, except for you're not going anywhere. The history's coming to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good theory.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I always say there's like ghost hunters, and then there's paranormal investigators, and then there's practitioners. Everybody does it for a different reason.
Yeah.
And I feel, my callings to try to figure out, I'm not a scientist or anything, but scientifically, I want to kind of figure out what we're interacting with, what's going on,
Right.
what capabilities do we have, because we know there's energy out there, we just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Do you have Amazon Prime Video?
No, I don't.
Do you have,
I'm actually on
there's
the
a-
verge of cutting the cord, and that's one I want to pick up is Amazon Prime.
There's a show on there, a documentary about the Conjuring house.
Okay.
Yeah.
The owner who had the Conjuring house sold it. So this team is the last team who was able to investigate this place. So the previous owner told him, go all in, do whatever you want. Because on investigations, you can't really do anything but investigate.
Yeah, you have limitations.
The owner was like, you have no limitations. Do anything you want. He's like, I don't care. I don't own the place no more. Do whatever you want. The stuff that happened was pretty cool.
Nice. I'll have to check it out once I officially cut the cord. I just haven't had the motivation to do it yet. I was kind of waiting until after football season's over, even though most things are on Amazon Prime now. Unfortunately, you can't watch a Thursday night game or anything. It sucks. But
I think the documentary was like $2 or $3 to rent.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was definitely worth the $2 or $3.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Did they do like any like blood rituals or anything like that?
They
They
did
did rituals, but they didn't do any like ritual. Yeah.
Okay. No, if I get free reign, like I'm bringing Garrett's ass and having him do some fucking some satanic fucking twister and all kinds of crazy shit.
Have you ever heard of the Gateway experience?
No.
Dustin, explain that to him. You'd better explain that to him than I am.
So the Gateway experience was developed. I can't remember exactly who had developed it, but it was an institution. It was a college professor that was developing it, and it was these tapes that take you into a deep meditative state. The CIA started using it for remote viewing. They had a whole manual on how to do it and what happens, and they had released and declassified a lot of this information to the public. For the longest time, there was a page missing. More recently, within the last year or so, I think it's finally surfaced, and it kind of goes into what religion is and how it works in our reality. But I was doing the Gateway experience there for a little while. I felt better, like just personally. It's meditation. I don't know if you've ever dabbled in meditation or anything like that.
No. I always wanted to, but no.
But what I had told Luke, I thought that it would be interesting if we both did the experience and recorded ourselves doing it at the same time to see if there isn't similarities that line up. You know what I mean? And see if we can't document that.
Yeah. See if you can even maybe set up things like you either think of something or set something up in the room where you're doing it, and then Luke does it too, and see if you guys can remote view what the other person has set up. without seeing, each other.
Yeah, we kind of
We
did
try to
that.
do that, but we never got a chance to do it.
Yeah. Try to find like different variables, whether it's that or something else, where you have like something where you kind of have to, test to see if it works. I like that. That's pretty cool. Is that what the hell's that movie called? Men That Stare at Goats. Is that similar to
I
to
don't
that
know.
concept?
I've never heard of
I've
that.
never seen that movie.
I don't remember it. I saw it a long time ago, but it was something with the CIA was doing some kind of testing. I can't remember if it was remote viewing or mind control, but sounds pretty similar.
Yeah. Yeah, we had set up things that
I always
are,
love like nerdy experiments like that. It's like test the capabilities of our minds.
yeah, I think that we
always
have more
interesting.
capabilities than what we're aware of. I feel like we've been programmed from birth to kind of forget these things. Kids talk about seeing things or hearing things or having imaginary friends, but then as adults we kind of just write it off as them being kids whenever that's their reality. It might not be what we think it is or it isn't.
I mean, that's what I did a house case recently, actually with Garrett, and there was some mental things going on. Obviously, it was a unique case, but I told the guy afterwards, I'm like, you know what, you said you always call yourself crazy, you call other people call you crazy, but I mean, this shit's real because it's real to you. Like, it doesn't matter if it's real to anybody else. Like, it's real to you. You just need to figure out, like, personally, is it something supernatural, or is it something just I need to get better in general?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I gave him a long text message. It was like, it probably took him like 5 minutes to read it, but that was essentially what I wanted to get was like, hey, I don't think you're crazy, man. Like, I mean, you might have mental, stuff going on, but it's real to you. So, in your reality, all this shit that's happening is real, and it doesn't matter whether it is to anybody else.
Right.
Just like haunting yourself, like
You're gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll tell you this much: if Leo starts, saying he has an imaginary friend, I'm turning the spirit box on to see if I can talk to that motherfucker too.
Ella says that she talks to somebody in the woods.
Does she really?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
She said that she has a friend that lives in the woods. Yeah.
Let's go investigate that shit. Why didn't you tell me this earlier?
Because it's my house,
Let's go investigate it. What does it look like?
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing. Like, I know Luke's seen some of the videos I have from my house. Like, I stopped opening the lines of communication when we had our son because I just didn't want stuff to happen. And fortunately, for the most part, I haven't had too many instances since then. But
we had someone die in our garage before we moved here.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable out there. It's
our
weird.
apartment one time.
Yeah. I always say, like, because I have other friends that are like, I have a friend who collects antiques, and she always like wonders, like, is there an attachment to any of this? And I was like, I mean, I can try to find out if you want me to, but once you open those lines of communication, like, shit can start popping.
Yeah.
You have kids, so I don't know if you want that to happen.
There for a while, I wanted to buy a Dybbuk box.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens.
I would too. Dude, if I didn't have a kid, I would do so much more weird shit. Like, it would be insane. Like, I'd probably have, like, you'd probably see stuff floating behind me as we're on this podcast. I'd be doing some weird shit too. But that's the reason I don't bring it home. I try to keep it separate. As much as possible. Obviously you can get attachments, and it's just like swimming in the ocean. A lot of the times you're safe, but every once in a while you run into a shark and shit can happen. But everyone always says, like, aren't you scared of that? Aren't you afraid like something bad's gonna happen to you? I'm like, I mean, there's less of a chance of something bad happening to you doing what we do than you getting in a car accident on your way to work. Like, it's the same concept. Or whatever your hobby is, whether you're a skateboarder, whatever you do, there's always risk associated with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you go out and hunt Bigfoot, I mean, I don't know what you do when you find the motherfucker. Like, you just like you either shoot him or you die, or you shoot him and then, or shoot her, and then male Bigfoot comes out with this big old dick and pops your head off. Yeah, dude, I was talking about.
He said he thinks he has something behind his house.
You mean outside of what your daughter was saying? You mean like an actual cryptid?
Something. There was a night we played D&D, and there for a while I was out in the garage DMing from out there, and one night I heard something coming across the hill, and it sounded like they had like a pot with a ladle, and they were just clanging it together, walking through the woods. And then they'd walk over to here, and then they'd stop, and they'd turn around, walk back this way. And yeah, it was just odd. I think there was some howling I heard that night too.
You got some banshees up in your woods, dude. That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, as far as the paranormal goes, as far as like cryptids go, as far as aliens go, as far as like even religion in general, like I always believe in, in the possibility of the stuff, but I try to take an agnostic approach to everything, where it's like, okay, if this is real, like, give me a sign, show me. And I think we've all done enough to know that, there's definitely energy there. We just don't know what it is. Same with cryptids. Like, I mean, and aliens, like we all have our own encounters, but is it our mind playing tricks on us? Is it, a coincidental thing? Like maybe there's some weirdos out in your woods fucking banging pots to scare bears away. Who knows?
Right. God, I hope.
Same with like the noises. One thing I want to do with the documentary, I on the preview it had that one where I was like, if there's something here, can you make a knock? And I didn't get to do it yet. But in the analysis, it happened several times in that room. I would get a knock pretty much on command. I want to check the time stamps I have on that to see if it was like, did this knock happen every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes? Did it happen like, or did it just happen at random when I asked? So because that's the thing. I mean, we have no substantial evidence captured has no flaws, if that makes sense. There's always a flaw. Like if you're using a spirit box, like
is it the radio?
Is it radio bleed? Coincidentally, it just hit that moment where you hit a station, it got stuck on it, and it answered your question. With
now, do you stay
digital
on
voice recorders? I know Luke's got some crazy EVPs he shared with me. Is there something going on in the room that you're not aware of, or is it picking up like someone in another room, or even another house or something, and there's an echo through the pipes? EMF ones, any one of those, I think there's too many variables like REM pods and stuff like that it's like, okay, yes, it seems like it's responding legitimately, but at the same time, is there like a 5G tower, close by that could have been just pinging at the right time? That's why, like, I feel like it's legit when there's multiple devices or multiple occurrences happening at the same time. Like when we did the Bel Air house, when I put together the documentary, we kept getting disembodied voices like all the time that we didn't hear live. They just showed up on the camera. And one of them was when we were in the seance room, I kept getting a cat that just showed up on the camera. And like, there was no cat. No one mentioned anything about a cat.
I remember
and your
that.
dad had an app going, and I don't buy the apps, but some crazy shit has happened on the apps that, whatever. I get it. It's too close to be a coincidence. And he had Cat come through one of the ghost apps at the same time. And then we read, because they have a sign-in sheet, and we read on the sign-in sheet that other people have interacted with the cat. And when I interviewed the owner, she had mentioned that kids actually broke into the Bel Air house at one point when she lived there, and she worked in Pittsburgh. So she was gone for the weekend, and these kids broke in and locked a cat in the basement in one of the cabinets. And she thought the cat ran away, but then three weeks later, she found it dead in the cabinet. And she's like, I guarantee it's that cat.
Damn. I don't remember ever hearing that story.
Yeah. It's on the 2.5 hour long documentary. I should have definitely broke that up better. That's one thing. Yeah, as you go along. I mean, I was in audio visual club when I was in high school, but like it's kind of a learn as you go, like putting together releases and stuff like that. Like our first release with Trans Allegheny was fucking horrible. I mean, the evidence is awesome that we get, but the release itself, how I put it together, is just terrible. And the Bel Air House one, I feel was probably the best one, but even that one like could have been put together better because we did the investigation, and then I did the evidence reveal where I replayed a lot of the investigation and then got Kristen's reaction to it. Where what I should have done was did the evidence or did the investigation and then sprinkled in the evidence reveal at the same time, so the viewer didn't have to see the same shit over again during the evidence reveal.
You could also done it like 2 different videos, like the reaction video and like a reveal video.
Yeah. That's how I'm putting together this one, because I did an evidence reveal with the owner at the time of 1806, and I'm just sprinkling it in as it goes along, so it's not replaying everything over again. Yeah. And we had shit happen during the evidence reveal. At one point, this was pretty crazy. I'll tell you guys this one on air. It was me, the owner, her daughter, who was the house historian, and then a couple on one side of the table. They're kind of like maintenance guy. He was like a friend of the family. And then 3 of the workers, or no, two workers, and then the owner's granddaughter on the other side of the table. And we were talking about the one room in the back. It looks like there used to be a stairwell that we kind of think was maybe where the servants would go up, but the stairwell was taken out. And we're talking about that as I paused the evidence reveal video, and a whistle, like a real loud somebody whistling, happened right behind the owner's granddaughter. And it caught it on both cameras, and it was loud as hell. It sounded like I thought someone was fucking with us. So I grabbed my cell phone and turned the camera on and just ran through the place trying to see if I could find somebody. But it's cool when you're doing those evidence reveals and shit's still popping off at the house. Like it's pretty crazy.
Absolutely.
Did you do any reveals on Dead Man's Hollow?
I didn't. Our camera work was so bad, dude. Like it was real. I don't even think I had my IR light on at the time when we did it. I think I have. I know during the intro of the Trans Allegheny one, and possibly the intro of the Bel Air one, I did include that EVP where I asked how many people are with us, and it came through and said 11. But no. I'm trying to think. When we did the public one, we had an EVP show up. I didn't really film that. I didn't film at all that night during the public one because I didn't think we'd get much. But Sean had a body cam on at one point. And do you remember the guy's name was Ed Wood? He was the old guy that fell off a boat that was going down the Youghiogheny River, and he drowned. And at one point, Sean was doing the Estes method at the end of the night. And he said, I keep hearing someone drowning. It sounds like someone gurgling on water. And I was like, Ed, is that you that Sean's hearing? Is that you, Ed? And it was a disembodied voice. No one heard it, but it showed up on his camera. And it said, yeah, Mike. So we did get that.
Wow.
I think I shared that. I used to do a segment. I just haven't had time because I've been really trying to focus on the documentary. But I did have a segment for a little bit going called EVP of the Week. And I think that one was one of them, the 1 week.
Does anyone have the EVP when we asked, were you there for that? When we asked, where are we? And it said McKeesport.
I wasn't there, no. Or no, I was there. That was during the public. I don't think anyone was filming at the time, though. Yeah,
that was
it was through the Ovilus, which is another device that I think the majority you get through the Ovilus is bullshit. But when it says McKeesport, you know that's not pre-programmed word. Same with when we got Moloch at the Bel Air house. It came through the Ovulus, and Moloch is one of the 7 daemons who fell from heaven with Lucifer. So he's a demonic prince that some pagan sects back in the day used to worship him. And the way they would worship him is they would do child sacrifices with fire.
Really?
Yeah, that coincides with one of my theories about what Emily Davis is that haunts the Bel Air house.
Mhm.
She was
Well,
sacrificed in the basement.
do you want to hop it off here?
Sure.
Then we can always get back on, talk again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you have a lot you can talk about. So
Oh, dude, I could go for like 10
multiple.
hours. I have ADHD, so I could talk for like 30, 35 more minutes, 45 more minutes, 10 hours. But
Yeah, no, we can definitely have another episode.
yeah, dude, I'm down.
Maybe
Anytime.
we can have one with you and Sean all the same time.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I'm definitely down. Like I said, when you guys get fired up, just send us the link. We can share it on our stuff, get your shit circulating, and and
I appreciate that.
yeah, for sure.
'Cause I know you guys got a good bit of followers.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's building up. Unfortunately, it's like I'm trying to get those followers to get to our YouTube page. Like we have I think we just broke 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but we have like, I don't even know, 200,000 on TikTok or whatever. I don't really do the TikTok thing, but
Yeah, I'm not a big
no,
TikTok
but hey,
person
I'm
either.
telling you guys want to promote the pod. That's unfortunately the platform to promote it. And you don't even have to do much. I would just put clips out of the pod itself, and definitely get that, and Instagram. That's what the kiddos listen to these days.
Yeah, I was really
Yeah,
big
but
with TikTok.
He's
I was
a
doing
TikToker.
I was
Oh,
doing
really?
tarot readings on TikTok. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we do a lot of lives at investigations. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the lives, just because you'll get interactions with the people watching, which is cool sometimes. But to do a release, like, I don't really care what Sharon from the UK is going to say about my investigation, unless you're some kind of psychic. Then I'll throw you on there, but. That's the unfortunate part, is it does sometimes interrupt things. But yeah, we can end it here.
Yeah.
I'm Mike from Bumpin' the Night Society. Got a documentary coming out soon. Make sure to check it out.
Heck yeah.
Thanks for coming
Yeah,
on.
for sure,
Yeah,
man.
man,
Thanks
that
for
was
It's
having
fun
me.
talking
appreciate
to
it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. If you do end up going out to the woods and doing some weird shit, let me know what you find out.
I'll let you know.
for sure.
Yeah, I will definitely.
And I'll keep you posted.
Keep in touch more.
What's that?
Keep in touch
Definitely,
more.
man. It just sucks with everybody having kids. It's always rough, like
Yeah.
and it's a lot of my friends have older kids, so they don't feel the pain. They forget how hard it is when you have the little ones. But
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
All right,
gentlemen,
man.
it was
We
a good
appreciate
time.
you coming on.
I like getting
Yeah.
weird on a Friday night, so it was great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right. You have a good night, man.
keep in touch, boys. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Exploring the Unknown. Luke and I really enjoyed talking to Mikey. Like I said, man, he's a funny dude. He really is. He has a lot of experiences, and I think we'll have him on again. What do you think,
Definitely.
Luke?
I definitely
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. But don't forget to go and check out our socials. We post every Sunday. We'll post the links down in the description so that you can go and check out those as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, share. Tell us, what's your favorite cryptid? I'm curious.
What's your
Just-
favorite cryptid?
What's my favorite cryptid? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I don't know. I think Bigfoot's got to be up there.
That's a good one.
I mean, it's a very commonly known cryptid, I think. There's a lot of cryptids out there that I don't think that people are aware of,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I think there's a cryptid for each state, isn't there?
Yeah, PA has it's encrypted.
Yeah, do you know what it is?
I actually bought stickers of cryptids, and it's actually in there.
Oh, I gotta see it.
Excuse me about that.
I
Um,
like
the-
this.
I'm actually upset that our cryptid is this animal.
You know, it'd be dope. Like the style that those stickers are in, like the cartoonish style. I think it'd be dope to put those on like a cup and just have them all over a cup.
It's called a squawk.
A squawk.
Yeah.
Greetings from Pennsylvania, home of the squawk. That thing looks sad.
It does. But that's our cryptid.
I don't know. Do you know anything about it?
I don't.
That'd be interesting to find out. Maybe we'll do an episode on the squawk. We'll inform everybody. Watch out for the squawk. I'm gonna start telling the kids that when you get outside, watch out for the squawk.
Well, we were talking about doing the Mything Legends.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You guys might be getting a new segment to the Exploring the Unknown podcast. You're gonna have to keep an eye out for that.
Let us know what you guys think. We planning on doing a other segment. It's called Words and Legends, and we sit and talk about different legends and lores, cryptids, and where the origin stories came from and stuff like that. If you would like that, let us know down in the comments, and maybe we'll start it.
Yeah. But and don't forget to mark the date on the calendar, September 6th and 7th. Luke and I are going to be at the Farmington Bigfoot Convention, PA Bigfoot camping adventure. You can stop out there, say hi to Luke and I, maybe even sit down and record a podcast or something.
Yeah, go like our Facebook page, TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube.
Absolutely. Well, I think I don't have anything else to add, man. Do you?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. All righty, everybody. You have a good night.
Have a good night.